Kash Patel's tenure as the FBI director, dozens of current and former FBI officials have a warning that they believe his leadership is making America less safe. There's a deeply reported New York Times piece that is out where they spoke to 45 current and former FBI officials, and they got a rare look inside the bureau, which, according to the officials the Times spoke with, has been marred by vendettas, mismanagement, and meltdowns. One moment, which was described as surreal by a senior FBI official that the Times spoke with, happened in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination last September. The manhunt for the killer was still underway. Obviously, it was wall-to-wall coverage on that. And the official described this all-hands-on-deck conference call to the New York Times and said, during that call, while this manhunt was underway, that Kash Patel and the then Deputy Director, Dan Bongino, started to talk about their Twitter strategy. And this person said, Kash is like, I'm going to tweet this, Salt Lake, you tweet that, Dan, you come in with this, then I'll come back with this. They're literally scripting out their social media, not talking about how we're going to respond or resources or the situation. And this person said that Patel was screaming that he wants to put stuff out, but it's not even vetted yet. It's not even accurate. Of course, the director was later criticized, including by some prominent figures on the right, over this post where he prematurely said the subject was in custody. He had to walk that back about an hour later. The suspect actually didn't turn himself in for another 30 hours. And even still, the director, Kash Patel, has maintained he believes no mistakes were made.
Could I have been more careful in my verbiage and included an A subject instead of subject? Sure, in the heat of the moment, but I was doing the best I could.
In all candor, I don't quite get that, because if we have our man, that would suggest to the public that everybody can rest and relax and not then continue to provide information to local law enforcement and to you.
Well,
so that was a mistake.
I don't see it as a mistake.
In response to this news story in the New York Times, the FBI said, quote, the story is a regurgitation of fake narratives, conjecture, and speculation from anonymous sources who are disconnected from reality. Ellie Onig is back with me, who served, obviously, as an assistant U.S. attorney, as I noted. Ellie, I wonder what you just made of that one specific story of this senior FBI official who spoke to the Times saying they were talking about what's going on with Twitter. I mean, is that typically how a director would be handling this?
No, Kash Patel has had a brutal first year in office. There's no other way to put it. I wrote a piece a few weeks ago for New York Magazine titled The Malignant Incompetency of Kash Patel. And I think we can understand his tenure thus far with those two things. Incompetency, okay, the best example is what you just showed. He falsely announces the arrest of the Charlie Kirk murderer, the single biggest case probably that he's overseen. And by the way, don't forget, he did it again a few months later after the Brown University shooting, again, because he's so eager to get on social media. We have the guy, wrong, he has to walk it back. That's humiliating times two. The malignancy that I referred to is his political weaponization of the FBI. We talked about earlier today in the show, there have been hundreds of experienced FBI agents who usually work counterterrorism, counter-narcotics, cybercrime, who have been fired by Kash Patel for working January 6 cases or for working on any of the special counsel cases against Donald Trump, and the FBI is suffering as a result.
Well, there was another instance in this where a senior FBI official, not clear if it's the same one, said Kash Patel was set to go to this conference with Five Eyes overseas. Obviously, it's the intelligence sharing between the United States, the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. This senior official told the Times before the conference, his staff says he's unhappy because he doesn't want meetings in office settings. What he wants is social events. He wants premier soccer games. He wants to go jet skiing. He'd like a helicopter tour. Everyone who heard about this was like, hold on, is he really going to ask the MI5 director to go jet skiing instead of meeting? The schedule is set, and every Five Eyes partner is doing this. They can't just say he's not participating, and instead he wants to go to a premier soccer team. This is a job, guys.
It shows such a lack of seriousness and a lack of purpose. And I think back on when I was at DOJ, most of that time, the FBI director was Robert Mueller, right? Marine veteran, injured in combat, longtime, high-ranking person in DOJ who was dead serious about his job. And he led by example. And all that other fluff and all the perks that go with the job, he had no interest in. Kash Patel's focus seems to be way more on the glitz and the glamour and the appearance and the jet skiing of it all, and not on the case making, and that's caused a revolt within the FBI.
Yeah, I just can't picture. I mean, the heads of MI5 like a soccer game and hanging out.
Can they jet ski? I don't even know. I have been authorized, Caitlin, though, to ask you a quick question. So you flew on a red eye to Davos on Tuesday night, flew all night.
A red eye on Air Force One.
On Air Force One.
It was not intended to be a red eye, but it turned out.
It turned out that way. You spent the next 3 days covering the president and interviewing world leaders while doing this show from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. local time, and you just took a flight back and landed a couple hours ago here in New York. So I have a two-part question for you.
Go on.
One, how do you do it? And two, are you okay?
I think I'm okay. I don't know. I guess you can.
You seem fine.
Depending on the questions I'm asking. No, it was actually really helpful. And, you know, Trump loves to go to Davos. A lot of presidents don't go. President Biden never went, I don't believe. And I'm not sure if President Obama went either. But it is interesting to walk around because it's this huge conference in this small town in Switzerland, a small ski town. But you're kind of just walking around the hallways. I kept telling people I felt like the Manu Raju of Davos because you're just kind of walking around and you can just approach people. I mean, like Jamie Dimon was there, Gavin Newsom was there, Andy Bashir was there.
Right.
We would run into President Zelensky, who actually wasn't scheduled to be there. So it is actually fascinating from a reporter's perspective, just to be able to catch people and ask them questions.
You are made of steel, and you clearly are not fatigued at all.
I like
Welcome
that.
back.
We did not pay you to say that, but
No.
thank you very much. Up next, speaking of that week in Davos for the president, Greenland obviously was the main subject. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of actually what it looks like inside Davos. That's right after this.